Hello and welcome to week 3. This one we're going to get a little bit more in depth. Still working on time signatures, and I'm going to do my very best to keep this one under 15 minutes long. And as always, remember that music is made up of notes, and those notes are made up of two elements. We have pitch and rhythm. Pitch refers to frequencies, high and low. It's easy to think of those vertically, and rhythm is left to right. It's time, it's placement. You need to have accurate pitch and rhythm to have a correct note. The right pitch in the wrong place is a wrong note, and the wrong pitch in the right place is also a wrong note. You need to have both correct. So just as a little reminder / review, time signatures, they're an organizational tool to help us understand rhythm and to organize rhythm, right? They do that by creating a framework that gives us a downbeat. That downbeat has an accent or emphasis on it, and that is the start of the measure. The time signature also helps us determine how long the measure is or how many beats are in a measure. The last 2 weeks we've been talking about 3/4 and 4/4. 4/4 is our common time, right? The most common time signature by far. 3/4, which in our context is used mostly with hymns. Not every hymn's 3/4, but most, if you're going to find a worship song in 3/4, it's likely to be a hymn. But in like classical music is very famous for the waltz. You hear this a lot at Christmas time. Anytime you listen to the Nutcracker, there's waltz in that ballet, right? Anyway, it's very flowy, can be felt in 3 and in 1, which I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next slide. But anytime there's a 4 in the bottom number, which the bottom number tells us what the subdivision or the beat is, right? In this case would be 4 for the quarter note. The quarter note gets the count 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? And then the top number tells us how many beats are in that measure. We only talked about 3/4 and 4/4, but you could have any combination. 2/4 is very common. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. A lot of marches are like that. 5/4 gets a little bit more experimental, right? But in theory, you could have any number in that top half, I guess. 1s, 7s, 13s. The way to just decode that is the number on top is going to tell you how many beats are in a measure. If there's 13, I don't know any song or piece with a 13/4 time signature. It just exists in theory, right? But soon you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's funny. My 13 was 2 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, right? And then the quarter note would be how you get that. Those just exist in theory. If you want to have fun and write some music, be my guest. So the alternative to simple meter is going to be compound meter. And sometimes I do refer to compound meter as complex meter just because things get more complex, right? Simple meter is very simple. Our beat gets 2 eighth notes, which makes sense because our beat is going to be a quarter note, and 2 eighth notes equals, eighth plus eighth is a quarter. Quarter plus quarter is a half. Half plus half is a whole, right? Simple fractions there. Simple meter. In compound meter, we're going to change it, and our beat, instead of getting 2 eighth notes, is going to get 3, right? Here's a fun way to understand it. If you think about 3/4, and we talked about this in our last lesson, it can be felt in 3 and 1. So in 3, it would sound like this: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or felt in 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? When we're feeling 3/4 in 1, or subdividing it in 1, or counting it in 1, there's a bunch of ways to say the same thing. Each beat has 3 parts to it. You got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but still one snap, one beat, right? In compound meter, every beat has that one feel. Let's review real quick our rhythmic note values. We get our names for these notes in common time, and it makes the most sense in common time. We have whole notes, which are worth 4 beats. And in 4/4, 4 beats is a whole measure, right? Which that makes whole note, whole measure. Half notes, 2 beats, which is half a measure. Quarter note is a quarter of the measure, right? And then eighth would be half a beat or an eighth of the measure, right? Because we use 4/4 so much, we just use these names, but they stay with their assigned number of beats, right? So if we're in 5/4, a whole note is still only worth 4 beats, which means it's not a whole measure. it's a whole note, but doesn't take up the whole measure, right? So it can get a little complicated there. Same with a half note. A half note is no longer going to be half the measure, but only 2 beats. A quarter note is not a quarter of the measure, but 1 beat. An eighth note is not an eighth of the measure, just half a beat. We got these names from working in the framework of 4/4, our most common time. But as we expand out of 4/4, the note names stay the same, the note values stay the same. But how much of the measure they take up, that's where things get to start to change a little bit. Also last week we talked about dotted note values. We worked with the dotted half note because in 3/4, a whole note, which is worth 4 beats, is too big to fit into one measure of 3/4, right? Because in 3/4 there will be only 3 beats in one measure, not 4. So then we had to add half of the note value of the half note to itself, so it would be worth 3. We do that by adding the dot. Now you can add a dot to any note rhythmic note value you want. When you add the dot to a rhythmic note value, we increase the duration by half of its original value. So a dotted whole note is now worth 6 beats. A dotted half note is worth 3. A dotted quarter note would be 1.5 beats, and a dotted eighth note would be 3/16 of a beat. So back to our compound meter page. Simple meter is super simple to understand. Every beat is going to be divided into 2 eighth notes. Compound meter gets more complex. Now it's 3 eighth notes, and where every beat is felt in 1. It's going to have that flowy feeling. Now, just a fun thing, again, a lot of this stuff only exists in theory, but every once in a while you'll see it in music. But every simple meter has a compound meter counterpart, right? So 1/4, where in simple meter would just be 1, 1, 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and, has that 2-note subdivision. Would in the compound counterpart is 3/8. You go 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, and by shoving another note into the same amount of time, it starts to change the feel of the music. And anything in compound music has a really just nice flowy feel to it. 2/4's counterpart would be 6/8. And this 6/8 is going to be the most common of your compound meters. 6/8 is very easy to understand because it's easy to feel. 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6. Still only has 2 beats, 2 snaps, but 6 eighth notes. Where in simple meter there'd be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 beats still, but 4 eighth notes. See how we've changed our subdivision. 3/4's counterpart would be 9/8. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Right? 4/4's counterpart would be 12/8. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. 1 2 3 4, so on and so forth. Right? And 4/4s and to 12/8. Not very common, but it's a very cool feel. There's a couple songs in Moana, the original Moana soundtrack, that's in 12/8, and it just gives it a very fun, flowy feel just by changing our subdivision. And again, 5/4, the counterpart in theory, it works for anything, would be 15/8, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 1, right? That you'll never see in music really, unless you get into the really experimental stuff. But just for the sake of understanding, any simple meter can have a compound and does have a compound meter counterpart. And so to be able to switch from one to the other is a very, very valuable skill. So let's spend some time and focus on 6/8, because hands down 6/8 is the most common and reoccurring compound meter. It is the 4/4 of compound meter, right? So 6/8 has 6 eighth notes in one measure. If you remember our, sidewalk analogy, walking down the street, you now have 8 mini steps to fit into one square of concrete. All right, and we're gonna count those eighth notes. 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Right, and you can see I have them barred into those eighth notes on the very bottom. I have them barred into 2 groups of 3. Right, and you're familiar with the little flag for the eighth note. This bar on the bottom is just grouping them together, because having 6 flags in there would just having 6 separate flags on the notes would be It just gets hard to read, right? So we bar them together, but mean the exact same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In simple meter, our quarter note is made up of 2 eighth notes, but since we're in compound meter, we're going to fit 3 eighth notes into one beat. Now we can't fit 3 eighth notes into a quarter note because a quarter note's worth a quarter or 2 eighth notes. So if we're trying to fit 3 in there, we have to change the quarter note to have the same value as 3 eighth notes. We do that by adding the dot, which adds half the duration to the quarter note, right? So you can see in that second line there are two dotted quarter notes on the 1, 4, 1, 4, right? So I'm going to snap the dotted quarter note and be subdividing the eighth notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, right? And then if you're to combine the two dotted quarter notes, you would get a dotted half note. Dotted half note is worth 6 eighth notes, or 3 beats, right? Or excuse me, 3 quarter notes, which would be 6 eighth notes. So the math still works. We're just changing the way we label the notes. So 6/8 has 2 beats in it, but I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Bubba, there's room for 6 eighth notes, which means I could fit 3 quarter notes in there. So is it 6/8 actually 3/4, right? Because if I simplify the fraction of 6/8, I would have 3/4. So are you sure that the simple meter counterpart of 6/8 is not 3/4? And I would say yes, I am very sure, right? Because it goes down to the subdivision of the eighth notes. We are fitting 3 eighth notes into one beat as opposed to 2 eighth notes in one beat. So you would have 6/8. This 6/8 counterpart would be 2/4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. My snap may have rushed or dragged. I don't have a metronome playing, but you can hear how it changes. I just shoved another eighth note into the same beat, right? And that gives us compound meter. Now, it is also just good to understand that these rules and everything I'm explaining only exist to help us understand it. But you can have 3/8 quarter notes. That fits in a measure. You can have it alternate too, so you can change your subdivision from 2 to 3. So you could go 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, right? The measure, the distance between downbeats has stayed the same. I've just shifted now where I'm going to emphasize and accent notes, right? That particular pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, was made very popular in West Side Stories America. If you haven't heard it, go give it a listen. It's very fun. It is very fun. So all of the meters and all of the everything exists at the same time. We just separate it and organize it because it can be too hard to understand everything all at the same time, which leads us to a great way to practice. Listening is always a great way to practice because you can do it anytime you're listening to a song or any music, which for most humans is every day, all of the time, right? You put on a song, you feel the beat. Identify that beat. Once you have it, see if that beat is divided into 2 eighth notes or 3. If it's divided into 2 eighth notes, you know it's going to be simple meter. And if it's in a group of 3, you know it's going to be compound meter. And from there, see if you can identify the exact time signature. Is it 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, or is it 6/8? Is it 9/8? Is it 12/8? If you can find a popular song in 15/8, I do want to know about it. You get extra credit, I suppose, right? So a way to apply that to your physical practice on your instrument or with your voice, right, is switching from simple meter to compound meter and vice versa. You change your subdivision from 2 to 3 on a whim, right? So let me just give a brief example of this. If I pull up a metronome that has 2 beats in it, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then I can tell, oh, there's groups of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I know it's 6/8, right? So if I simplify that to just click on beat 1 and beat 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, right? If I just listen to that, there's no reason why I couldn't subdivide this beat into 3 eighth notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But there's also no reason I couldn't subdivide it into 2. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, right? Both of those subdivisions exist at the same time. So as you're listening to either a metronome or your song, or you're putting the click track on for practice, see if you can figure out how to switch from a group of 2 to a group of 3 on a whim. 1, 2, 3, 1. And 1, 2, 3, 1, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, and 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, and 2, and on that goes, right? If you can quickly change the subdivision without rushing or dragging, you have just solved how to switch from 4/4 to 6/8, or from simple meter to compound meter, and vice versa. Now, I know I'm over my 15-minute limit, but you can also do those two subdivisions at the same time. We call that polyrhythms. Poly being multiple, and rhythms just being rhythms. You have a group of 3 and a group of 2 happening at the same time with the same duration, right? Now, these can get forever complex, and there's some great people on YouTube who'll do like 30 beats over 31 beats, and it's really cool. I can't do that, but I can do 2 over 3. So if you put on a beat, excuse me for bumping the microphone, put on a beat, 1, 2, 1, 4, right? You can, with one hand, you can snap the groups of 2 like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And on the other hand, snap or clap, right, groups of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Now, if you combine the two, it sounds like this. And 1. That left hand is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Right hand is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, right? Kind of fun, right? See if you can get those going in your brain at the same time. I promise you won't go too crazy trying to figure it out. If you can do that, you will make switching from simple to compound meter very, very smooth and very, very easy, which we do on Sundays almost every week. That being said, this Sunday there are 2 songs in 6/8 and 1 in 4/4. See if you can identify those without looking at the time signature written on the top left of the page, right? That's your cheating. That's your check. Once you think you know, check your answer there. But see how smoothly and quickly you can switch from groups of 2 to groups of 3 in that subdivision. And I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you on Sunday.